That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild, strawberry ice bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the roaring stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to our sponsors, T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. I don't know, you need your grass cut, you need a paver patio, you need anything. I mean, anything. Maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer. Maybe you want to buy some mulch, some gravel. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. And, of course, Meyer Window Doors and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Meyer Window Doors and more. And, of course, my favorite brewery, Cincinnati Lager House. Go on down there to the banks, get you some delicious Lager House beer, some delicious Lager House food, and of course, tell all my sponsors you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. It is schedule release day. I don't know about you guys. I am fired up about this. Finally, we have it. We know where we're going, when we're going, what we're going to do, and you guys can start making your plans now. With that being said, what is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Brandon there and Mike Med. What's going on? And I agree with you. Nothing like bringing in the new year at Paycor against the Ratbirds. I love it. Mike Med looking forward to the Falcons game and Jesse Bates. And he says it'll be interesting. That's week one. Yes, it will be interesting in my house with week one. My wife is a born Floridian, and she grew up a Buccaneers fan. So, yeah, we will have some interesting smack talk. She already started it today, so it's gonna be interesting. With that being said, let's get to my guest for the evening. If you have not listened to him yet, I don't know where you've been. You must have been under a rock or something. He is from the Locked On Podcast Network. He is the host of the Bengals Squad. It is their weekly long version of the Locked On Bengals podcast. He is the one and only Alex Frank. What is going on there, my man?
Well, Lice, first off, thank you for the nice graphic. In fact, I do have these. I got to make a little addition here to the show here. We're going Maverick. The only thing I'm missing is a beverage, but I guess this water will do for now. But it's a great night, Ice. It truly is. I'm in the friendly confines of St. Petersburg, Florida. I got the pool right outside. It's beautiful weather. I was just at a sports bar watching Stanley Cup playoffs on a night when the NFL schedule gets released. But don't worry, I've seen the schedule, I've memorized it, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about it.
There you go. Well, with that being said, let's pop it up here. Hey, so, there you go.
Look at that.
So, like I said, first week we got the Buccaneers. That's going to be an interesting one for me with my lovely bride, Mrs. Ice, a born and bred Buccaneers fan. What the schedule here? What sticks out to you? What's the surprising thing for you so far with this schedule there, Alex?
Surprising, I think, would be that while the schedule is definitely backloaded with primetime games, you got 3 primetime games in the last 9 weeks of the regular season. I actually think that's the easier part of the schedule. the front part of the schedule, which includes 7 straight 1 o'clock games to open the season, is actually pretty difficult. Look at those first 3 games, the Buccaneers, the Texans, and the Steelers, and not to mention the Jaguars. You're going to play 3 of the 5 playoff teams from last year. You're going to play them in the first 4 weeks of the regular season. And don't overlook Tampa Bay. They almost made the playoffs last year, albeit with a losing record. But 3 of those teams, Tampa Bay, Houston, and Pittsburgh, they have very stout defensive lines. So this offensive line that the Bengals have, returning all 5 starters, Dalton Risner extended this offseason. You're bringing back Ted Karras. Dylan Fairchild took a step forward his rookie season. You got your bookend tackles in Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mims. Can that offensive line, going up against Dexter Lawrence in training camp for a lot of days leading up to the start of the season, can they handle Tampa Bay's defensive line with Reuben Bain, a guy that was mocked to the Bengals in several drafts nationally? There was a lot of buzz for him locally. I know that. We talked about him on the Bengals Squad show extensively. Can you be able to combat Tampa Bay's stacked defensive line? And then Houston, I mean, look, their defense is the best in the NFL for my money's worth. Can you go down to Houston and be able to move the ball and maybe steal a game that you're probably not going to be favored to win? And then, look, Pittsburgh week 3, I mean, it's Pittsburgh. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get Cam Hayward. You're going to get TJ Watt. You're going to get Alex Highsmith. You're going to get a well-coached team, albeit with a new head coach. He's not new to the head coaching ranks by any means, Mike McCarthy. But that's a tough first 3 games. And then Jacksonville at home. I mean, Ice, let's admit, they're probably still upset they lost that game last year to the Bengals week 2 when Joe Burrow went down. They had chance after chance after chance to break that game open, and the Bengals forcing turnovers and Jake Browning being delusional somehow got the Bengals a win that day.
Yep.
They're going to look a little different this year. They lost Travis Etienne on offense. They lost Devin Lloyd on defense. So how did they look? But Trevor Lawrence took a step forward last year. I love Liam Cohen as a head coach. That's a tough first 4 games, and you better come out of it at least 2-2. Gosh forbid any worse than that. But you got to find a way to be able to combat some tough defensive lines. Can you run the football with Chase Brown? Can you move the ball down the field? Can you get some deep ball plays to Jamar and T? Can you come out in those first 4 games and not have your offense look like a rut? That's what stands out to me as surprising with the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing for me, all those things you said there, but the other thing too is, I'll pop it back up here again, is look at all the road games. Before we hit November, like when we hit November 1st and we play the Titans here, we've only been at home twice. That's it. There's a lot of road games there, which is bad. Well, it's hard for the beginning of the season, but I think it really helps out at the back end of the season. We got more home games there. That's a surprising thing for me there. And like I said, they say we got the third easiest schedule or whatever, but I mean, those are all tough games. You have divisional opponents there. And like I said, Houston is got a legit defense. Like you said, that'd be a very good test for our offensive line, but also be a good test, I think, for our defense too, to see if they can rattle CJ Stroud, because we saw what he did in the last couple of games, especially on a playoff game. He didn't look so hot. So I think that might be a good test to see how much pressure they can actually apply to CJ Stroud, and if they could actually rattle him too as well.
Do you remember the last time we played the Houston Texans Ice? It was November 12th.
I do. I was there.
12th. Yeah, I was there too. It was my 25th birthday, and the Bengals, by the way, 0-4 on my birthday lifetime. Just throw that in there. That game, the Houston Texans had over 500 yards of offense. They could do whatever they want. They could run the football with Devin Singletary. CJ Stroud was throwing dimes to wide open receivers. Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz felt like every time they were wide open in the middle of the Bengals secondary. So that was a very good game, just not the outcome we wanted, obviously. And it felt like ever since that game, the shock of losing that game to an up-and-coming team that we all thought the Bengals were, a tier above the Texans at the time. What Houston's done since. So now the Bengals go on the road to face Houston early in the season. The Texans have high expectations. I've been a little higher on them than maybe some have been, because I love the way they play defense, and I also love the pieces they have on offense. Getting David Montgomery and a trade was absolutely crucial for them, I believe.
Right.
So can you go down to Houston and make it hard for them to move the ball? Because when defenses do, we've seen that CJ Stroud isn't as effective. When CJ Stroud can sit in the pocket and, look around for, his deep ball threats, and Nico Collins, you better have a game plan for him, by the way, Bengals new look secondary. If you can pressure him and you can take away Houston's ability to run the football, you can beat them at their own game. It's not inconceivable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that wasn't that the game, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that the game where Tyler Boyd had the game tying or game winning touchdown and dropped?
Would have been
yeah.
Ice, here's the thing. It would have been a go-ahead touchdown. Would have put the
Yes.
Bengals up 34-30 with
Mhm.
about a minute or so to go. I'm
Yep.
not sure if the Bengals defense would have gotten a stop on that last
They might
possession.
not have. Yeah, they
To-
couldn't stop them all day long. So they might not have been able to stop them.
No, yeah.
But that's the cool thing about this year's team is I think we finally have a defense that is at the level, or it could. I actually think this defense could be above the level we had with the Super Bowl team, just because I think of the amount of pressure that we could get on teams. And you and I both notice pressure breaks pipes, and that's going to make that secondary that much better. So the first couple games, I'm going to be really interested in seeing how much this defense comes together, how quickly it comes together, because they got a lot of new parts there. So, is it inconceivable to sit there and think that they're going to hit the ground running right off the bat there at game one? Which it might be because they don't play. I think they're going to play some starters, in the preseason, but it's not like it used to be where you could really get into it and really hit each other, really play a lot before that first game. So, I'm kind of curious how quickly this defense will come together playing like I think they eventually will. I just don't know if it'll be week 1 or week 2, or it might be week 3 by the time they all come together.
You know what's also interesting too, Ice, about what pressure does to you? It can force turnovers.
Mhm.
And in 2021, when the Bengals defense, they had a lot of new pieces, Trey Hendrickson among them. What they were very good at early on that season was getting turnovers when it mattered. You look at the Vikings game in overtime. You look at the Steelers game, they got 2 interceptions off Ben Roethlisberger. So they were able to get turnovers to flip the momentum of the game. And, defenses are ahead of the offense early in the season, in particular the Texans game. The Texans got off to an 0-3 start last year. And they've not really had the best of starts with CJ Stroud as their quarterback. Even in 2024, when they came into that season with high expectations, they started 2-0, but I remember it was not a very smooth 2-0 start. So you have an opportunity to go down there and kind of force them into some mistakes. And you talk about the Bengals being able to generate pressure up front. It's going to come from all over that front line. It's not just the edge rushers like it was with Hendrickson. You got Dexter Lawrence, obviously, and then Jonathan Allen, BJ Hill. And, if you have to go deep into your interior defensive line room, TJ Slayton, Chris Jenkins Jr., McKinley Jackson, see what the waves of pass rushers can do. Heck, pick Shamar Stewart inside if you want to.
Right.
So there are ways to be able to have success in these first 3 to 4 games. And if you do, you're going to set yourself up. You're going to set yourself up for success in the second half of the season. And Nice, here's another thing that you were alluding to about the travel, the fact that a lot of the road games are later in the season, but keep this in mind. The Bengals don't leave the Eastern time zone after week 9. That's very important.
Yes, that's a good thing. And the thing is, too, I'm glad you brought that up about the defense. I've kind of said that a lot here. It's going to be more effective, I think, later on in the year. But they have so many guys that can do multiple things. Cassius Howe can drop back. He can play a linebacker position from time to time. You just talk about Shamar Stewart to be able to kick inside. The different guys that can do different things. We can give so many different looks on the defense side of the ball to that offense that, especially like we got the Steelers and the Browns here. They got new coaches here, and that's going to be a good thing to try to hit those teams early with their new coaches, because they're not going to have everything all together. If that defense can really mess things up and where the quarterback or the offensive coordinator doesn't know where the rush is coming from, which is a very good chance that could happen. That's the part I'm really looking forward to this defense, of what can Al Golden really do with this defense, all the different looks that I think he can do.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot more of opportunities this year to kind of surprise teams. He's not going to have to, like we kept hearing last year, that he was trying to make it simpler and vanilla. Well, if you do that, you're going to make yourself easy for teams to move the ball against you. You don't want to do that. You want to be able to surprise teams. You want to disguise some looks. You want to be able to throw multiple looks and coverages at them. And, you talk about the pass rush, helping out the secondary. I think can also help out the young linebackers and Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight. And my thing about that isn't one thing I've said, and I've kind of gone back and forth on this with how I view the linebackers. Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson were young ones too.
Yep.
And they had their growing pains early on. Jermaine Pratt was kind of, shaky as a rookie, but then he really blossomed his second, third, and fourth years. So, yeah, I mean, look, they had their struggles last year, was evident. I don't put it all on them because they had so many distractions on defense. This year they don't. And I can't tell you how important that is.
And that's it. That Logan Wilson, Super Bowl year. That was his second year in the league. So, and I think it was Pratt's third or fourth year. I can't remember. So I've said this before too. They were young linebackers too. I'm expecting a pretty big jump out of Carter and Knight this year. I just because of all the playing time and all the snaps they got, and because of what they did with the defensive front there. Let's go back to the schedule here. So, like I said, we got the Buccaneers first, and then the Texans and Steelers, and then Jaguars. Miami. I mean, it's not. Miami should be on paper, should be a good one there in rebuild mode, but you can't look past anybody. And that's the thing. It's like, as us as fans and people who follow and cover the team, we can say, oh, that could be an easy win, but you never know because these NFL teams are built to win. Those guys on the field aren't coming out there going, oh, we got no shot today. So just because on paper it looks like that Miami game should be an easy win, it doesn't necessarily mean that could be one that sneaks up on you because you got it in between the Jaguars and then you got the Ravens there too. So you don't want the Bengals looking past Miami to the Ravens for the next week.
Or the bye week. You don't want to look. Right. You don't want to look past to the bye week. You're right, Ice. That's a good point. My co-host and friend on Locked On Bengals Squad show, Coach Arfalero, says this all the time. Every team in the NFL is good. I mean, these are good players. They're in the NFL for a reason, and you can't take a team lightly. I mean, Miami. They signed Malik Willis this offseason. Am I expecting much from Miami this year? No, and I don't think I'm alone in that regard. But at the same time, we've seen the Bengals look at last year against the Jets. Look at 2021 against the Jets. These are games that they lost. They shouldn't have. You can say they shouldn't have, but there's a reason any given Sunday exists, and it's because of that. Now, by that time, you should be able to go down to Miami. You should be able to have success. I mean, I'm not sure what the weather's going to be. It could be 90 degrees. It could also be a comfortable 75 degrees in Miami in October. You never really do know.
Either way, it'll be a nice day.
It will. No, it definitely will. And I may be going to that game. So,
take me with you.
I'll save you room in my suitcase.
Hey, I need a really big one. Kind of a bigger guy.
I'll save. I save room for ice in my suitcase. So
there you go. Exactly. All right. So what is the? Is there a game that you're looking forward to? I got mine picked out. I know exactly which one I'm looking forward to, but it's toward the end of the season here. So we got primetime games, which is we'll get to the primetime games here. Let's go with that next. We got the Madrid game, which there's lots of talk. I know you guys talked about it on your show as well, that we potentially could have a bye week after that. They don't. They got the Steelers, and then they got the Steelers primetime game, and then they got Washington, another primetime game. Is that surprising to you that not only do they not have a bye week, but they have two primetime games back to back after they go to Madrid?
I mean, it does, just because I thought they would get a primetime game after going international. But I mean, as more and more teams are going international, you're realizing that it's not that much longer of a flight than if you were making a West Coast trip, I think. And I'd have to do the calculations. But I feel like for me, not getting a bye after week 9, I'm actually okay with it. The players may not be, so I have to kind of choose my words carefully here in case this gets out somewhere I don't want it to. But
don't worry, nobody watches the show. It's okay.
No, well, they do. Come on, guys. You got a following here in this city, and I admire you for that. I think what's interesting is, yes, I am surprised they didn't get a bye just because I thought they would. I mean, I joked to somebody, watch the NFL give them a Thursday night game in Baltimore after the Madrid game. So
right.
They didn't, thank goodness. I think for me, I go back to the fact that you don't have a game outside the Eastern time zone the last 9 weeks of the regular season. Your road trips are to Washington, which is not a long flight at all. You got Cleveland in-state, Charlotte, not a long flight, Indianapolis, shortest distance between any two teams in the NFL, which is week 16, the day or 2 days after Christmas. And then you play 2 home games to end the regular season, and you're going to be on incredible rest going into week 18. Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised that they didn't get a bye after the international game, but more and more teams are, not. So I think the NFL, in that regard, that's what they may have decided. And again, I don't know everything that goes on in these scheduled meetings. I don't. But at the same time, I'm surprised, but also not too upset about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not upset about really any of them. I'm just more surprised that it's not only not a bye week, but it's a primetime game, which I guess maybe with it being a Sunday night game, that still would be a mini bye. You're still playing on Sunday. It's just at night. So it's just, that's the part that just surprised me, because you got to go all the way over to Madrid and then come all the way back, and you got the jet lag and all that stuff. But let's talk a little bit about the Madrid game. And Joe Burrow, I think, is excited about going over there. He mentioned he wanted to be on there, and I think this says something about the NFL and what they feel about the Bengals' star potential for giving them this game, because that is a market that they want to grow. We've been to England. Multiple teams have been to England. They want to start going out to Germany and Spain and getting these fan bases growing out there. I think it says something about the star power of the Cincinnati Bengals, that with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that they are giving them that game there to be the one in Madrid.
For better or worse, and I'll start my statement off with this, you talk about the Bengals being chosen as the team to go overseas, and then they're going to play the Atlanta Falcons over there. For better or worse, teams that have never won the Super Bowl are judged differently than the teams that have. And is that an unfortunate reality of the NFL? Yes, because there are some really good teams, Buffalo, Minnesota, and Detroit, that have been around for a long time and have incredible fan bases that have never won the Super Bowl. They are judged differently than, let's say, the Ravens, the Eagles, the Cowboys, 49ers, teams like that. And if you don't believe me, Philadelphia, the lights just went out there. I'll kind of get those back on. Philadelphia was judged much differently until they won the Super Bowl. Actually, kind of makes a better lighting.
You look like you're at a club in Florida now. It's okay. We just need the music.
There you go. Philadelphia.
Well, I like that. That looks purple now.
There we go. Philadelphia was judged much differently until they won the Super Bowl back in 2017. Mm-hmm. But because the Bengals this offseason really kind of, took matters in their own hands, they rebuild their defense in free agency. They rebuild their defense, at least on paper, in the draft. And then they made that big splashy trade by going to get Dexter Lawrence. And you look at all these teams, Ice, that have made big trades like that in the offseason in recent years. The Bears with Khalil Mack in 2018, the Packers with Micah Parsons just last year. And you can look at any team that's made a big splashy trade. You can go all the way back to when the Patriots traded for Randy Moss in 2007, when the Eagles signed Nnamdi Asomugha in free agency back in 2011. That's what this trade is, the Bengals trading for Dexter Lawrence. So now you have this team that has been so competent this offseason, and 3 primetime games, I think, is reflection of just the uncertainty that surrounds the Bengals and the outlook of the season. But what it comes down to is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are 2 of the league's best players. They're 2 of the faces of the league. And I thought Joe Burrow's point about growing the Bengals brand internationally was so perfect, and how he linked it to the Bulls in the 90s.
Yes.
I mean, how fortunate are we to have a franchise quarterback that understands the magnitude of the Bengals going to not just overseas, but Spain, Madrid. And it's going to be a good matchup, in particular the game against the Atlanta Falcons. I know about the Falcons a little bit. I'd like to say a lot because I was born in Atlanta in 98, the year they went to the Super Bowl for the first time. So the Falcons are a team that new quarterback potentially in Tua Tagovailoa, new head coach in Kevin Stefanski, but the Bengals know him well from his time with the Browns. The Falcons are going to be a team that wants to run the football. Their offensive line is very good. Can you, create some pressure, take away Bijan Robinson and his ability to, break away big runs? Can you make sure that Kyle Pitts doesn't beat you in however many ways he can beat opposing teams? Kyle Pitts, their tight end. Mm-hmm. And then can you not let Drake London beat you on go routes? If you're DJ Turner, if you're Dax Hill, if you're Takario Davis, maybe it's going to be a very interesting game. I think it could be I think it's going to be a close game. And look, this is just projections at this point. Who knows what the Bengals are going to be like in week 10 or 9, Who knows what the Falcons are going to be like. I'm excited for this game, though, in Madrid, 9:30 a.m. I'm running a half marathon the day before in Indianapolis, so I'll be, nursing, to say the least. Yes. But,
yeah, a little bit.
So it's going to be a fun game in Madrid. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I answer Ken's question here. He wants to know when I'm getting call-ins here. I'm working on it. I'll put it to you that way. We're working on some stuff here to eventually get some call-ins. Hopefully by the time this season starts, I'll be able to do some phone calls here. Now, I do think it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up what Joe Burrow said, brought up the Bulls of the 90s, which I freaking love the Bulls of the 90s. That was my high school to early 20s years there. And it's funny that for me that Joe brought that up because Joe wasn't even alive during the Bulls run of the 90s. And for him to think like that, but he's kind of right, though, because, I mean, in the 90s, the Bulls went everywhere. They went over all of the European trips. They went over there, and they were the ones that the Europeans wanted to see. And to Josh's point here, he said Peter Schrager was saying that Madrid basically picked the Bengals That's Joe's star power there, and that's kind of where it goes to the fact of what that Joe was saying is they're like the Bulls of the 90s, or not saying they're like the Bulls of the 90s, but that's kind of where he's looking at this team to become. That would be unbelievable, and that's what the power of Joe has. And that, to me, like I said, that as a longtime Bengals fan, that says a lot because we've never got that kind of respect before. So that I'm very happy on the reason that we have this game over there and what that means for this organization. Now, to what Fuzzy Balls is saying here. He says the Bengals won't be more than 4-point dogs all season. Every game is winnable. Now, my contradiction to that is now the Cincinnati Bengals, in the Joe Burrow era, which is surprising, have never had the number one offense in the NFL. Now, what if that actually happens and they get the number one offense and they get a top 10 defense this year? If they are beating people like that, those games the odds will go up more into the Bengals' favor. So that's one thing you got to look at. And like I said, I'm not predicting that, but the talent is there, Alex. I mean, the talent is there for this team. And the Bengals have had the number one offenses before 1988, 81, I think was the number one offense in the NFL. I know 88 was for sure. And we've never had a top tier defense like potentially we could have this year. And if everybody stays healthy, there's a chance we could have that mix of a very highly talented defense to go with a high-powered offense. And as this thing gets rolling here, hopefully it takes off. And at the beginning of that's where I go back to the beginning of the schedule here. Pop that up again here. You could roll into this and you could be undefeated going into that Ravens game there in October. And that would be a huge thing. And I don't think that I'm being too crazy there thinking that, realistically there.
It's all about them playing complimentary football for 17 games or as close to 17 games as they can. And that's something that this team has struggled to do since, getting to the Super Bowl in 2021. If this team is able to do that this season with the schedule that they have, if they can, manage the front of the schedule, only 2 home games in the first 7 weeks of the season, you got Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, and then you're on the road for 3 other games before the bye week, and then at Baltimore week 7. So the good thing too, Ice, real quick, is they don't have 3 straight road games at any point this season. And it's the third time. This is the third time since they went to 17 games in the NFL that they have had 9 road games, and they haven't had 3 straight road games at any point in those 3 seasons. In 22, they didn't. In 24, they didn't. And then this year, they don't. So that's really good. But again, it's just all about, complementing each other on offense and defense. Along with that, and this has been brought up by people who listen to the Bengals Squad show, is that the offense last year turned the ball over so many times. And it led to points for the other team. How many times did Noah Fant lose the ball and he took it to the house? So
3 times in one game, I think.
It wouldn't shock me if that happened. So, yeah, I mean, there definitely is a lot with that. It's just all about not beating yourself. It's about, playing the games that are on your schedule, 1 game at a time. Don't sleepwalk through Cleveland in week 13 because you're looking ahead to Kansas City week 14. Don't sleepwalk to Indianapolis. I mean, you literally could. It's that close,
right?
Because you're looking ahead to Baltimore in week 17. This team knows from their past that they can't overlook any team.
Exactly.
You want to win 1 game at a time. You want to be in a position come week 17 where you can lock down the division on New Year's Eve, and we're drinking at whatever bar downtown till 4 a.m. in the morning. So that's what you want. That's the position you want to be in. And it all goes back to what you're saying, Ice. Can this team complement each other, offense and defense? And then, offensively, can they run the football? I'm not saying they have to be a run-first team, and they won't, obviously.
But they won't be, yeah.
But can you run the football at a good enough level to where defenses have to respect it, including Chase Brown?
Exactly. And you have to stop the run. Now, Fuzzy Balls comes back at me here and says, Ice, you can't have a number one offense with the worst running defense. You're correct. That's why we haven't had that. And that's why they went and got Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen and the players they've gotten. So that goes back to my point: is if this team can have the number one offense and have a top 10 defense, which would, if you're a top 10 defense, you would be able to stop the run. That could happen this year. That's what I'm saying. So, but to your point, Fuzzy Balls, yes, that's why they haven't. You don't have enough offensive plays if you can't stop the run. So they have to be able to stop the run this year. That's a big point, and that was an emphasis to why they went out and got Dexter Lawrence and Jonathan Allen. And everybody, including myself, we keep talking about Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence was, trust me, Dexter Lawrence is a great player. It was a great addition. Sneaky one of Jonathan Allen. I really do. And now with the addition of Dexter Lawrence, those, you're not going to have to use BJ Hill and Jonathan Allen as many snaps. They play better because they're older players. They do better with less snaps with those guys there. And you also have Landon Robinson too. And I know he's getting all kinds of praise and everything, but I really do think he is going to make an impact on this team this year from his interior play there. And that's where I go to Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, where I don't know. And you still got TJ Slayton too, so don't forget about him. So they have plenty of guys to stop the run. But this is where I go to TJ Slayton and McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins. Do those guys stay on this team? This is where I'm looking to possibly, you could package one or both of them up to possibly go get a linebacker, say Jordan Brooks from Miami. That's kind of where I'm looking at this. But do you think Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson are a part of this team? Because you can't get one of those guys onto the practice squad. Somebody's going to snatch them up, I would think.
They have to be. I think they have to be for defensive, interior depth. I mean, depth is so important, particularly at those positions, Ice, because those are the positions that are in the trenches. I mean, they are where the play starts every single time. So they have to have depth at that position. I still want to see what Jenkins and Jackson can do. Again, there is so much more veteran leadership on this defense than there was last year. Even a month ago, there was not as much veteran leadership on this defense. Dexter Lawrence has completely changed the standard already. When you look at him, he commands the respect, and the presence of him commands it in the room. He's a guy that's going to take no nonsense. All right. So you mentioned a guy like Landon Robinson, what he can bring. There are some pieces on this defense that don't get talked about. He's one of them. I also want to see what Kyle Duggar's role is going to look like. I like Kyle Duggar as a player. I don't like him punching the ball out of Tanner Hudson's hands in week 1 of 24, but I like him now that he's or the pick 6 he had against Flacco last year, which we'll probably see on Quarterback season 3 on Netflix coming out later this summer.
Yes.
But I like what I want to see what he can bring. I want to see what even Jasir Taylor can bring. I want to see what Takario Davis is going to look like this season. Does he give the Bengals depth at the cornerback position? So there are some other under-the-radar pieces defensively that I'm really excited to see. And then flipping it over on offense, I'm really excited about Jack Endries.
Yes, me too.
I don't know if you've read a lot about Jack Endries, Ice. Maybe you have. But from reading the description in Dane Brugler's draft guide in The Athletic, the Beast, here's a guy that is durable. Here's a guy that's reliable, has good hands, plays with a chip on his shoulder. I love that in my tight ends personally. So what can he bring in the red zone, goal line situations, 3rd and short, 4th and short, something like that? Can you, kind of add some more wrinkles to your offense? Dan Pitcher's offenses, I think you've seen the emphasis on using the tight end. That's what's made Mike Gesicki so good the last 2 years. And then the offensive lineman, Brian Parker II, who, by the way, his girlfriend is the daughter of Pro Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman Tony Baselli. So you have offensive line genes in that family already. And then Connor Liu, does he, make himself known this year? Obviously, you hope he doesn't, from the sense that you want Ted Karras healthy. But there is definitely a lot of depth. There's definitely a lot of, interesting under the radar players that you aren't expecting to be major contributors. But as Coach tells me all the time on the Bengals Squad show, it's not players 1 through 10 that are winning championships for you. It's players 11 through 53.
Yeah, and the thing is too, and that's where I'm not. People keep getting worried about the third wide receiver. To exactly what you said there for the tight end room, I'm not. I mean, yes, I would like them to add somebody, but if they don't, I'm not that worried about because of the tight end. Because we also have Eric All, who's coming back this year. Who, if he's healthy, knock on wood here, he's gonna be your number one tight end, I would think. And that right there is a possession receiver. So, and just like you said, Pitch likes using the tight ends a lot with Kobe Young too, and Yoshi. I think Yoshi's going to have a better year this year too because it's a contract year. I don't think the Bengals are going to resign him no matter what he does. just my personal opinion. But I'm not as worried about the third wide receiver as much because I think we have multiple guys. Plus, you have Chase Brown coming out of the backfield too, where he really established himself as a good pass catcher out of the backfield. So for that, there's so many weapons we have on this offense. Like I said, I am not saying don't go at anybody. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm as worried about it as other people are. I mean, where are you at on the third wide receiver? Do you want them to go out and get somebody? I mean, if they could go out and get D-Hop for the vet minimum, I'd say I'd do it in a heartbeat. But I'm not saying you have to go do that.
I'll put it this way: how much I value the third wide receiver. Two things actually. Last year before the Bears game, I said to my cousins and my uncle, I'm like, you know what? I want the Bengals to draft Cardinal Tate. And they go, do you know how bad our defense is? And I said, yes, but you have a better chance on hitting on a wide receiver 3 than you do any defensive player, apparently, from the last few seasons. Now, this year, obviously, I think the tone has changed. But at that time, I was like, you know what? Go out and get a wide receiver 3. You need all the offense you can get. I mean, there was a reason I was for Jeremiah Love before trading for Dexter Lawrence. So there's that. The other thing, too, is, and Ice, you know this, you've watched plenty of football throughout your life. Look at all the great wide receiver tandems of the last 30 years. Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker. They all had wide receiver 3s and or wide receiver 4 or tight ends that could just free up more that they could do.
Those are bigger names, too. Like, I think you guys were talking about this on the Bengals squad.
We did.
Can you name the third wide receiver to those guys? And most of the time, it's the tight end. But they weren't big names, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Most of the time they were tight ends, though, weren't they? As far as the catches go.
Well, with the Rams, it was Ricky Prohl, it was Azahir Hakim, which those are household names. With the Colts, it was Dallas Clark, it was Brandon Stokely, it was Brian Fletcher, it was whoever else you can throw out there. Pierre Garçon eventually in 2009. I think that was after Harrison retired, though. With the Broncos, it was Julius Thomas, a tight end. It was Wes Welker. Fun fact, he was signed with the Broncos after playing for the Patriots.
Yep.
The Bengals, and I think I've made this point many times, this offense has not been the same since Tyler Boyd walked in free agency because Tyler Boyd could do so much to free up what Jamar and T could do. And there's a reason the Bengals have not been as explosive offensively since 2021. I credit Ben Baby of ESPN for writing that article back, I believe, in February or March about how the Bengals have not ranked above like 20th or 17th explosive since 2021 in terms of explosive plays. They were 6th in 2021 in percentage of explosive plays. That's good. You need to get back to that because that's the reason you drafted Jamar Chase. Like, I still think this isn't going to happen, I don't think, but like, I still say, you know what? Could you trade up next year in the draft in the first round, get Jeremiah Smith if you want him to be even just your kick and punt returner? I mean, we've seen Ohio State kick and punt returners, a.k.a. Ted Ginn Jr., do well in the pros. So, yeah, wide receiver 3 does matter a lot to me because if Jamar or T go down, gosh forbid, I don't know the depth behind them is good enough. Now, you have tight ends to help, which is nice. Gesicki, can act as a receiver. It's definitely an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation. And we've done it before the last couple of years with T, mostly T being hurt. I mean, I know we had Jamar out too. They've overcome it. And then I think too with Jamar, the explosive plays, not every single time Jamar has an explosive play, it's over the top. I mean, there's been time I'll go back to the Kansas City game there when we clinched the division back in 21, which we did have Tyler Boyd then, but he was going over the middle. He was going over the middle, and he took that to the house. So the explosive plays don't have to be over the top. They just got to be schemed right. And that's the thing. Is if you can scheme it right, you can get these guys open. When you have elite athletes, elite players like T. Higgins, like Jamar Chase, they can make a play themselves. But I'm not disagreeing with you that we do need more explosive plays. And I'm not disagreeing that that's not something I think we should add. I just don't know if they're going to at this point. And if there is a guy out there that can make that big of an impact. I mean, D-Hop, maybe. And it might be only on name alone because he might be I know he's past his prime. Is there enough left there for him to do this? And he's mentioned it a couple of times. He said it again at the Kentucky Derby that he wants to play with Joe Burrow. So how badly do you want to play with Joe Burrow? Are you willing? Because the Bengals are not going to pay him $5 million, $6 million, whatever he's asking. They'll probably give him the vet minimum. Like, how much does he want to play with the Bengals? Is kind of would be my question.
It's a good question, but I also think at the same time, you have to think about this. If he does come to the Bengals, Jamar and T now have somebody, tell them maybe that what they're seeing that maybe they don't. Jamar and T have kind of built themselves up by themselves. And they did have Tyler Boyd. Now, Jamar and T are obviously very good, but can you get another veteran that's seen a lot of defenses? It's played in a lot of offenses like DeAndre Hopkins. I just see the value there. And if you can get him, and he's a guy you don't have to sign like tomorrow, but can you do you want to sign him like 2 weeks before the season starts? And then you make Tampa Bay and their, leaky secondary go, oh, now we got to watch out for this guy in addition to Jamar and T. I mean, that's
just in name alone, it would be like, oh crap, we got all three of them. So I mean, like I said, I am not against adding a wide receiver 3. I'm just saying I don't know if that's in the Bengals card. But hey, I was calling for them to trade pick 10 for Dexter Lawrence, and they did that. So we'll see what happens here. All right. So what is the game that you are looking forward to the most here? I'll go first here on this one. To me, it's the Thursday night New Year's Eve game. We finally don't have to go to Baltimore. It's Bengals and Ravens on Thursday night football game again this year, but it is in the jungle and it's New Year's Eve. I think the jungle is going to be off the hook. I cannot wait. They're going to do some kind of – it's going to be striped the jungle or white out or we haven't done an orange out, I guess. Well, I guess we do that.
Don't. Bad things happen with an orange out ice. You don't want that.
See, I don't believe in all that stuff, though. I mean, I'm wearing orange now. But, I mean, I'm curious what they're going to do because I think that's something with it being a New Year's Eve game that they'll think it's something different that we haven't done before. And Bengals fans, I give it up to us. We've done a great job of doing whatever they come up with as far as what colors we should wear, what we should do to make it look awesome on TV. And I think that's another reason why they would love to have it in Cincinnati because the way it can look and what we might do there.
You know what they should do, Ice?
What's up?
Take a page out of the Ravens book, and throw it back in their face. Do a blackout game.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's good. Yes.
Bengals wear their all black jerseys, black pants, black socks. Heck, maybe get a black helmet with orange stripes on them. That'll send a message to the Baltimore Ravens. Well, first of all, I mean, New Year's Eve in the jungle. I mean, maybe Ohio State's going to be playing in the Rose Bowl the next day, so it's going to be. I mean, Joe Danneman, shout out to him. He was on the Bengals Squad show last week. My weeks are all mixed up. We just moved houses up, so I've been traveling a lot. So I don't know what week it is. I do know I ran the flying pig half marathon, so there's that. I will say this.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Joe brought this up to me when I asked him if he thought the Bengals were going to get a Thanksgiving game or a Christmas game, and he says that he thought they would get a holiday adjacent game, like a game that's like not on a holiday, but like, day after, day before. Mm-hmm. I didn't even in my right mind think New Year's Eve.
No.
I mean, against the Ravens at home, where it could be the Bengals are at 10-5 and the Ravens are 9-6, and the Bengals clinch the AFC North that night, and we're smoking cigars up and down, whatever street we're on. I mean,
now they're on the banks, baby.
I live on the bank, so I'll smell it. I'll smell the pot all the way from my balcony.
I'll yell to you, Alex, get down here. Let's go.
Hey, after the Bengals Squad show that night, you better believe it. My favorite game is the Steelers game on Sunday Night Football, Ice. I am a big Sunday Night Football fan. I've seen parts of every game since it started back in 2006. When I got to college, I was like, oh, I can stay up and watch the whole thing. This is kind of nice. Look, you know me. I'm a big Chris Collinsworth fan. He's going to be in.
Hey, I am too. He was my favorite player when I was a kid. So everybody gets all Collinsworth.
That's great. My cousin's named after him, actually.
There you go.
So to get that game on Sunday Night Football, Week 10, mid-November, the Bengals obviously coming back from international, but like, the jungle's going to be alive. And can we find – here's the crazy thing, Ice. The Bengals have 2 primetime home games this year within the division. Mm-hmm. They've had 10 primetime games in divisional play in Zach Taylor's first 7 seasons. Only 2 of those games have been at home, and Joe Burrow didn't start either of those games.
Right.
Now, both of them were against Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. They won both those games, Ryan Finley and Joe Flacco. How's that for a duo of names? So, obviously – Joe Burrow hopefully is going to start that game against Aaron Rodgers. And the last time those two played in the jungle was one of the wildest games I've ever been to. So that's going to be fun to see. on November 15th, 3 days after my birthday. So I'm excited about that. And because look, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's prime time, it's Sunday Night Football. Everybody's going to be watching. The views are going to be great. I would say it's one of NBC's signature games of the season. I'm getting very much behind that. That's the start of the second half of the season. You come into that game, let's say you'll be 8 games in, you come in 6-2, maybe what was it? Yeah, 6-2, or
6-2, 7-1, something like that.
Let's just go 8-0.
There, 8-0. It works for me too. I'll take that.
So that's my favorite game personally, because we were all excited about the Ravens game, but then I was like, wait a second, we're going to host the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. I mean, we get 2 primetime games at home in the division. We only have 3, but you get 2 of them at home and in your division, and then you get a 4:25 game on Fox against the Chiefs.
Exactly.
I mean, Fox clearly believes in the Bengals because they gave them a 4:25 game last year, 2 of them, and they were flexed for obvious reasons.
Right.
But they're trying again. So
now that you what you just said there, that brings me to this point. Is like Ron here is like talking about all the 1 p.m. games. I think they did that for a reason, because the last 2 years they've given us the 4 o'clock games and some of the primetime games, and they flexed us out of them. Now I think that's kind of their option of they can flex us into those games. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these 1 o'clock games get flexed up to 4 o'clock, or maybe another Sunday night game. Who knows? We'll see how the season goes. That's why I think there's more 1 o'clock games this year, because we've had a lot of 4 o'clock games the last couple of years, and we haven't been that good. So that's kind of why I think that there's so many 1 o'clock games. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on it being a 4:25 game and all the 1 o'clock games.
Why they have so many 1 o'clock games this year? Because
if you want an interesting take on that, Ice, here's what I'll say. And I've seen a lot of displeasure from people on Twitter this week about how many standalone games and primetime games and this and that the NFL has, and the 1 o'clock window is slowly dwindling. Maybe the NFL says, okay, we don't have that many 1 o'clock games this year. The Bengals are one of the teams that we believe could rule the 1 o'clock slate. In fact, you look at the NFL on CBS, you look at their PR release. The Bengals are the number 2 game in week 3 at Pittsburgh. So Ian Eagles, J.J. Watt, and Evan Washburn are likely to call that game. And then in week 7, it's not a doubleheader, but they're the featured game at 1 o'clock. So Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson. So they see an opportunity to still have good ratings at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, which is where still most of the games are played. And the Bengals, with this high-powered offense, with a face on defense and Dexter Lawrence, I kind of see the logic there. And honestly, Ice, I'm okay with it. I want the Bengals to play at 1 o'clock early on in the season, ramp up a little bit, bank some wins. It's going to be tough. We know that. Bank some wins against the Buccaneers, the Steelers on the road. I know it's on the road, but, Joe Burrow's 3-1 in Pittsburgh. So can you go to Miami and win? Can you handle Tennessee? Excuse me. Those are 4 wins right there. And then you go to Atlanta, you win that game, you're 5-3. You're right where you need to be. So can you ramp up in those 1 o'clock games? And then when you get to primetime, the NFL scheduled the Bengals very smartly this year. They put the primetime games in the back as opposed to the front. And I've thought about this a lot recently. Like, you talk about not being very good at the 4 o'clock games, and the Bengals weren't last year. Let's call it for what it is. Like, remember when they beat the Niners in week 8 of 23? It was a primetime game. It was like CBS's most watched week 8 game since like 1998 or something, the year I was born. So I remember thinking after that game, oh my gosh, like, look how effortless it looked for the Bengals to win that game. Zach Taylor was in rhythm as a play caller. Burrow was 28 of 32 for like 296 and 3 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, 50 yards rushing doesn't hurt either. Like, let's go back to that. Like, just play football the way you know how to play it. Like, I mean, that's what I want to see. And I think this is the year we get back to that. I do.
Yeah, I don't mind all the 1 o'clock games. I mean, and I'm okay that they only have 3 primetime games. Some people are upset about. Like, it's fine, because, like you just said, these 1 o'clock, and it's really good. Like you said, that's a great point you had there. I'll bring the schedule back up again here. All those 1 o'clock games right at the beginning of the season, so it's kind of, you can get off to a rhythm, a good start, and you don't have to really change anything until a major change happens and you go to Madrid. So I mean that, and then you start doing the primetime games. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as a good thing for the Bengals, because exactly what you said of getting the rhythm going, getting used to what you're doing, and because, again, like I said, we have the defense that has a lot of new guys on there. It might take a little while for them to totally mesh. Hopefully it won't. But I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, our offensive line many, many times, we haven't had this is the first time in Joe Burrow's career. I think we've had the same offensive line back-to-back years. So we've seen how it takes a little while for that offensive line to mesh. It might be the same thing as a defense line. I know it's you don't have to work in unison and all that stuff. It's a different side of the ball, but there are guys that are be moving, switching, doing different things, and everybody has to be doing the same thing on the same page. So the 1:00 game starting off, I think it's a good thing for the Bengals to get off to a good start and get that winning momentum going. Because I mean, everybody's worried about Joe Burrow and the comments he said last year where he's not having any fun. And if you read the Vanity Fair article where he said to them, I think the front office has done a great job. They've got the pieces in place here. That's what Joe Burrow is saying. That's the mindset Joe Burrow has. That's what the mindset this team has. So getting off to that good start and getting going and putting your foot on the other team's throat is what I think they are all about, and get off that good start for that week one. The probably all orange again against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it starts then. I'm ready for it to start now. I mean, I wish Sunday where they were starting to play now, Alex. I'm ready to go, my man.
Oh, I'm ready too. I mean, and here's the thing: that game against Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow, they do some great games in the past. I mean, that's going to be a heck of a matchup. Two former number one overall picks, two former Heisman Trophy winners, kind of had the same paths in college. Started at one school, transferred to another, and then they took off and became number one overall picks. So I'm excited for that game. I think for me in that game personally, if you can slow down Tampa Bay's running game and Bucky Irving kind of force their new look receiving core, it's going to be their first game post Mike Evans era. I don't think anybody's mentioned that yet. Yep. So can you find a way to locate Chris Godwin, their slot receiver at all times? That's going to be up to Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight in the secondary. Can you handle Tampa Bay's defensive front? I think if you can win the line of scrimmage and you can take your shots with, Jamar and T, that's a very good week one matchup. I think it's going to be a closer game than some might think. It's not just because it's week one with the Bengals. I just think it's going to be, I think Tampa Bay is going to still be a competitive team. So it's going to be an interesting game. I am excited for that game. I'll be there, obviously, being a season ticket holder myself. So, yeah, I mean, we're 17 Sundays away, but it's coming, Ice. It's coming.
I can't wait. I was down at the practice day yesterday and today. I was at the bridge watching practice, and it was
some dedication.
It was a gorgeous. I mean, if you guys ever get a chance to go down there to the bridge and watch practice, it is a gorgeous view, especially on days like today where it's blue skies, there's white fluffy clouds in there. You see all the Bengals running around practicing. It was an awesome day. It was just getting me excited about football. One thing I noticed, and if you guys didn't watch the video, you can check it out here after we off here. You go and watch the minicamp video today. But Shamar Stewart was out there today, and he's there. He's getting the reps that he didn't get last year. He's got a new number, new vibe, new attitude, and I think the pressure has been taken off of him with this Dexter Lawrence trade. I think nobody's really talking about him. Before we made that trade for Dexter Lawrence, it's like, man, we're really going to have to get something out of Shamar Stewart. We lost Trey. Yeah, we added this guy, but we really didn't add a whole lot of else. With him getting the reps now, and I saw they're working on swim moves and all kinds of different stuff today. How much of an impact do you think, and how much pressure do you think is off of him now? Because he's not eating sugar anymore either. So I mean, which God love him. I'm going to drink my Pepsi Zero here right now while he's not eating sugar. But
well, I'll tell you about Shamar Stewart. For me, I think that, and obviously last year, I don't condone what happened with the whole contract fiasco. He needed to be out there, and again, whatever the situation was, and I'm not a contract expert. I'm not into that legal kind of stuff, but I was just like, you see what Cassius Howell's doing. He hasn't signed yet, but he's out there. Yeah, I think I think Shamar Stewart is a guy that you still want to succeed. You should. I mean, he can be an asset to your defense. We saw it in week one last year. He was quick. He was, in on a lot of plays. So you want to see that. And I think him being out there, there's not a lot of distractions. I mean, last year he was drafted as the guy to replace Trey Hendrickson. Well, Hendrickson wasn't there to help him. And this year, you got Boye Mafe, Cassius Howell, who Shamar obviously knows from A&M, and Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, B.J. Hill. I mean, all those guys, they're just all there to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how important that is.
Yeah, and that's where I think. I mean, I think that the Bengals. The good thing about this is the Bengals aren't counting on him. I mean, yes, they want him to play good. Of course, I'm not saying they don't want him to play at all, but he's not a piece that, oh my goodness, we've got to get something out of Shamar this year. It's they hope they do, and that just to me takes the pressure off because it goes to what they've done and the addition of Cash Salem, and having his former teammate there is got to help him too, because just seeing those guys cut it up on the practice field today just had to make him feel more. I think he wasn't comfortable last year, but more comfortable. He's got a guy he's known for a couple of years, through college and all that stuff. So it's just I think it's all going to help. And I'm expecting a big year, a solid year. I'll put it that way out of Shamar Stewart this year. I think we're gonna get more out of him than people are expecting. And like I said, with this team, that goes to what I keep saying. I don't think there's gonna be one dominant pass rusher on this team. I mean, Miles Murphy could be that guy, but I don't really know if they're going to, because they have so many different guys. It's kind of like when we had Zimmer's defense here. We had, they had your studs, you had Geno Atkins, you had Carlos Dunlap, but they had multiple guys that had, 4 or 5 sacks, 3 or 4 sacks on that team. I think we're going to have a lot of guys like that. Yeah, you're going to have your guys going to have the most sacks, but I think it's going to be more of a team-oriented thing than just one guy, because last couple of years, all you got to do is stop Trey. Well, now we don't have that. You can get it from all different places.
Well, that's the thing too. This defensive line is going to be so much more versatile. It's like they can beat you so many different ways. The Bengals last year felt like a one-trick pony, and that makes you easy to defend and makes you easy to move the ball against. This year, they're not going to be that, and I can't tell you how important that is.
Exactly there. Dennis, I'm trying to read what you're saying here. Stewart is only at practice because he knows how he's going to show up. His little buddy look like he's motivated and ready to play. That's kind of where I'm at. I think he's motivated and ready to play. I mean, I think he was going to show up to practice anyway. I mean, because he didn't. Well, he was at practice last year, but he didn't do anything. So that's a big
yeah
for him.
You know what's interesting, Ice? Real quick, I'm seeing this from Ari Myrov on Twitter. The Bengals have 3 primetime games, and look, there are a lot of teams that have 4, a lot of teams with 5, 6, and then the Rams have 7. Not really sure why they have 7, and that's it. But the Bengals have the same number of primetime games as Jacksonville, Denver, Carolina, and the LA Chargers. All teams that made the playoffs last year. I mean, this as a whole, the NFL schedule, and I thought to myself this, and I kind of thought about this earlier this offseason. Last year was so surprising in so many ways, from teams that made the playoffs, teams that didn't make the playoffs, and then the seedings in the playoffs. You can put any game anywhere, and fans are going to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
In terms of what network it's on, what time it is. And here's the thing. If the Bengals are good this year, if they get back to the playoffs, if they go on a deep playoff run, next year you play the AFC West and the NFC West. That's primetime games galore in that. So you're going to be back up to 5, 6, or 7 potentially.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they also have to take that into consideration too when they're doing the schedule. And to be honest, we've had tough schedules the last couple of years. I mean, we haven't had an easy schedule. And I hate calling it an easy schedule. On paper, it is, but they don't play it on paper. So we'll have to see what happens here. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just the prognosticators and stuff. It's just like them all picking the Ravens to win the division, which Alex, I ask you this. Are you surprised? And I'm like, I try not to let it bother me, and it doesn't really, but I keep bringing this up. But the Ravens really haven't done anything this offseason. I mean, except for signing Trey Hendrickson. I mean, they had a good draft. But they, in my opinion, they've gotten worse. They've lost one of the best centers in football. They lost a couple guys off defense. They lost one of their tight ends. They really haven't added a lot they have added guys, but I think they've lost as many guys as they've added, and people are still picking the Ravens to win this division. And the Bengals have done so much stuff. And we have a better quarterback, in my opinion, than they do, and better wide receivers. Why do they keep picking the Ravens? I mean, are you surprised at that at all, or does that irritate you at all?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, because they have Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. He's won the division let's see, 2019, 3-4. So that's 3 times. He's been to the playoffs numerous other times. Doesn't surprise me. I'm not too upset about it. I understand it. He's been healthier than Joe Burrow, obviously, the last 3 seasons. That may have something to do with it. They also have the best running back in football in Derrick Henry. But I'll say this. I think the receivers are good. Zay Flowers, one of my favorite players in the league. Rashad Bateman, anyone that says he's better than T. Higgins, politely walking the other direction.
Right.
I think their defense is very, very suspect. I worry about Declan Doyle being their offensive coordinator. He did fine. He did really well, actually, in Chicago last year with Caleb Williams. But I worry about them more than others might. I think, again, you have to take advantage of the schedule this year. It's one thing to have an easy strength of schedule. It's another thing to actually take advantage of it. And it's because the other teams in the division have 3 new head coaches.
Yes. That's where we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, you have to take advantage of it. Now, Ice, I don't know, in your rundown today, if you had like record predictions right now as we sit here.
I haven't done them yet. I'll probably bring mine tomorrow. That's probably Friday. If you got one, go for it.
I've settled. I'm between 11 to 12 wins. The Kansas City game I go back and forth on. My losses for sure are to Houston in week 2. I think they do lose at Baltimore week 7. It's a road game coming out of the bye. You never know. I think they lose at Washington. That Washington offensive, when they get rolling, it's so hard to defend, even with a new offensive coordinator this year. I have them losing to Cleveland week 13. I do not like going to Cleveland in December at all. And the Bengals, by the way, haven't scored more than 21 points in Cleveland in their last 5 games there. So there's that for you.
So that means they're due, right? They're due to do that.
Ice, you're a very optimistic man.
I always am. I get accused of it all the time.
I do too. And you know what? That's okay. We need more positive people in this world. So that's another one. And then Indianapolis is interesting to me just because they have, some former Bengals defensive players and Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator. So that game worries me. I think those 5 games, they kind of fall in, but Kansas City is interesting. I go back and forth on because they've beaten them before, but they haven't beaten them. But how good are the Chiefs? I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I do believe this team can win 12 games. I believe if Joe Burrow had played last year, they would have beaten Detroit, Green Bay, and Pittsburgh if he had played. So that's 3 wins. And then you think about the games that they lost that they should have won. Jets, Bears, Bills. That's 3 wins right there. Mm-hmm. So I know people, especially Browns fans, are going to say to me, oh, you're crazy for thinking you guys can win 11 to 12 games. My response to that is, who's your quarterback in Cleveland? The answer, I don't know.
Exactly. I'm going to be closer to 11, 12, maybe 13 wins. I'll sleep on it tonight, and like I said, I'll make my prediction tomorrow. But Alex, it's just the time flies here. We've already been on an hour and 2 minutes, so I know you're on vacation. I appreciate you jumping on and doing this for this late schedule release program.
Can I ask you one more question, Ice?
Sure can.
I don't know if you had a chance. If you've had a chance, look at the full NFL schedule.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay, so I was going to ask you. There's like one game that you can point to on the NFL schedule that's not the Bengals, and you go, "Ooh, I can't wait for that game."
I have not got a chance to look at that yet, but I will definitely look at that. I mean, there's going to be one. I mean, I'll take that back. The Sunday night matchup, the very first one's going to be interesting. I think Seahawks and the Giants. I think that's the very first matchup.
Well, you get Patriots Seahawks on opening night kickoff, and then Cowboys Giants on Sunday night week 1, which I can't wait for personally to watch Dak versus Dart.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see Jackson Dart because I'm kind of a fan of his. I like the way he plays. I think he needs to stop putting himself in positions to get hurt too much. But I got a sneaky feeling I think the Giants are going to be a little better than people think they are. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be an improved team this year.
If the Giants win in week 1, I think they'll make the playoffs. That's my bold prediction right now. Real quick, I'll give you one game for me that I can't wait to see. Actually, it's kind of 2. The 2 Christmas games on Netflix. Green Bay, Chicago. I mean, that's going to smash. Packers, Bears, noon Central Time on Christmas in the Windy City. I want snow. Give me, what's Jim Cornelison singing the national anthem with that incredible voice he has. And then Bills Broncos. I was like, where are they going to put this game? They chose Christmas. I was like, okay, rematch of last year in the playoffs. Josh Allen going out to the Mile High City. I can't wait for that game. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that Bears Green Bay game is fun, and I love the smack talk between the head coaches. I mean, that's just fun in itself right there. But that's definitely going to be. And the Bears won that. See, I'm kind of curious. Can the Bears sustain what they did last year? Because we had a lot of teams. Well, yeah, I think they can too. But we've had teams like Washington. They had a lot of injuries. That's why Washington was down last year. We'll see if they can happen to Chicago. It'll be interesting to see how that turns around, because see here, like lately, the young teams, they come up, they have a really good year, then they kind of bounce back for a little bit, and then they get their feet back under them again. So we'll see what happens. But I'm ready for football, dude. I can't wait. The Reds are ticking me off. So even though they won today, they won 15-1 today.
So footnote in today. That's how much power the NFL holds over us, Ice. In the middle of May, the Reds won 15-1 today. That's probably the second biggest story in Cincinnati.
Exactly. And we're talking schedule.
I'll end this on a positive note. I think the Reds are still going to be okay. Are they going to be a 90-win team? I don't know about that, but like 85, 86, I think they can get there. Get healthy, get the lineup, consistent. I still believe in this team. I think they're just going through a really bad stretch right now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this here real quick. I'll let you get out of here. You're talking about I'm a positive guy. My bet that I made it back in April. I'm not a big betting guy, but if I do, I'll usually make crazy, stupid bets if it works great. But I put $20 on the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl and the Cincinnati Reds to win the World Series. That's how confident I was back in April. 3 weeks in the day, we'll see. It's not looking as good.
No, I happened to see this. I did happen to see this. So
I guess if it pays out, it's $21,000. I'll be, I'll have money for to go to the Super Bowl. So we'll see.
That's always good.
Exactly. All right, Alex, plug some stuff before I let you go, my man.
Coming up tomorrow on the Bengals Squad show, it's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Again, a little interesting time, but Coach Art Valero, who's a running backs coach for the Orlando Storm, he's got a game tomorrow, so we got to do our show a little early, but we're going to do multiple schedule release reaction shows because of that. Coming up tomorrow, he and I will break down the key parts of the Bengals schedule, the Madrid game, the primetime games, the tough start, the backloaded part of the schedule. That's coming up tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on Locked On Bengals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm on Twitter, Frankie_Natty, and Instagram, AlexFrank9_. Alex,
this has been awesome. I enjoy having you on every single time. And if you see me at Bengals Now this year, come over and stop over and say hi. So
Ice, you know it. And by the way, real quick, speaking of that, I got to send my best wishes to our dear friend, Reagan Holgate.
Yes.
She obviously posted yesterday on Instagram and Twitter. She is leaving Fox 19 to pursue other opportunities. You want to talk about, Ice, a girl that understands how to tell a story and story writing and delivery. Reagan Holgate is exactly that. I mean, I learned a lot from her, and she was only here for 2 years. So best wishes to her and everybody over at Fox 19.
Yeah, exactly. Reagan is awesome. I actually am going to go live with her on Monday at noon. So I told her, I said, you can't get out of here without at least making one appearance on my podcast. So I got her locked down. We're going to be going live on Monday. And yeah, Cincinnati's losing a great reporter, great storyteller. Reagan is awesome, and I'm sure we're going to see her in bigger and better things, and we'll be like, hey, you remember when she used to work in Cincinnati? Like, she's a big-time star now, so good luck to her. She's going to be awesome. Frankie, I appreciate it, my man. We'll have to do this again sometime soon, and the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you.
You know what, Ice? I have family that lives in Southern California, so if they do, I'll be there for sure, maybe at the game. And I told a consultant actually at Locked On, I have my schedule blocked in January and February, so the drill.
I already got it set up for my vacation. I'm taking my vacation the week. It'll be the week after the Super Bowl. Yeah, so the Super Bowl is on Sunday, so I'll be getting fly. I could watch it. I doubt I'll be able to go out there. I'd love to, but I can watch it. And then I had the whole week to party when we win it. So I got it all set up. I'm ready to go.
Don't think you're alone. I know I'm there. And
exactly.
You know what, Ice? You can come crash on my couch on the banks if you want to do that. So
sold. I will do that. I'll take you up on that offer. Alex, I appreciate it, my man. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time, brother.
Ice, thank you. Hooday.
Hooday. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go check out Alex and the Bengals Squad podcast on the Locked On Bengals Network. They will be on tomorrow at 8 a.m. They do a great job, so make sure you guys check them out. Shout out to our sponsors, T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. I don't know, you need your grass cut, you need a paver patio, you need anything. I mean, anything. Maybe you're a do-it-yourselfer. Maybe you want to buy some mulch, some gravel. Take Party Lawn and Landscaping. And, of course, Meyer Window Doors and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. Meyer Window Doors and more. And, of course, my favorite brewery, Cincinnati Lager House. Go on down there to the banks. Get you some delicious Lager House beer, some delicious Lager House food, and of course, tell all my sponsors you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. That's right. Shout out to all my great sponsors. And just to remind you, since we are talking Bengals schedule here, the Bengals, the home games, if you're looking for a place to tailgate, check out my tailgate that I'll have down at the Cincinnati Lager House. This will be year 3 of this. We are doing it again. We have a great time down there. We'll be down there in the beer garden, working on having some former Bengals guests on there and everything. It's going to be an absolute blast. So make sure you guys come on down tomorrow. We're back live. Dale Altman will not be able to join us, but I have the Godfather, Anthony Gazenza. We'll get his reaction on the schedule and anything and everything Bengals. And we'll talk some Reds too. Hopefully they'll get on the winning streak. And yes, Ronnie Reagan is leaving, and yes, she's going to become a superstar just like Kevin Frazier. If you guys are too young to remember, Kevin Frazier used to work at Fox 19, and now he's the host of Entertainment Tonight. So, like I said, I think Reagan's moving on to bigger and better things. But as always, thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, Instagram. You can follow me on all of those, on the Threads and TikTok. Check out my Substack. I write some articles on there from time to time. And do me a favor, if you guys, tomorrow morning, you haven't, didn't watch the whole hour and 12 minutes of the show, you can listen to it on your way to work, cutting the grass, on for a jog, who knows. Check out, it's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor. Let's do it. Rate it, like it, review it, leave a 5-star review, and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Other than that, we're getting closer to football season. The Reds won 15-1 today. You get the Battle of Ohio coming up here. Hopefully they'll go up there and kick some Guardians booty. But remember one thing and one thing only, that is Hooday for life. And never throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.